We're talking about how to get that all-important interview. My guest is Maggie Mistel. She's a life purpose and career coach, and she can be heard on Martha Stewart Living Radio on Sirius. First time out, you want to make an impression, but you want to get that first interview. What do you do? How do you go about it?
I like to focus people on either their alumni networks or even associations, places where they can meet people who have done or are doing the types of work they'd love to do, because these are folks you really want to hear from. And if you were to go up to someone, Denise, and say, you know what, Denise, I read your bio online, or I heard about you through so-and-so. Your career sounds fascinating to me, and it's got to be true, right? Which it is, actually. Your career sounds fascinating to me, and I'd really like to learn more. Chances are, if you say that to someone and you're genuinely thinking that, they're going to say, sure, well, what do you need to know? What can I tell you? People want to help, and they also love to talk about themselves, which can be a real leg up if you're looking to get into an organization or even into a new career, that you've never experienced before.
Let's talk about the writing part of this. Do you send a cover letter with your resume? Do you email a request? Do you make a phone call? How do you go about making that contact?
Right. Well, every generation is different. It's very interesting. Right now, there's 4 different generations in the workplace, the most ever that we've had. And for folks who are newer to the workplace, they're used to doing everything online. So they're used to emailing, they're used to text messaging, they're not really used to the face-to-face quite as much as, say, Generation X or even baby boomers. So one of the things I recommend, no matter what your age or level, is to really be able to do a mix of things. If you're going to job search, know how to search online, know how to go to Monster, and know how to submit your resume there. But also know how to network in person, face-to-face, and be able to do that 15-second pitch. A great friend of mine has established an organization called 15secondpitch.com, where you really develop the who you are, what you're good at, what job you'd be suited for, and how that person can help you get it. If you have that pitch and can talk to somebody about it face-to-face, that can also open up doors. So it's really a combination of all of those.
There are so many women who are coming into the marketplace a little later in life. They've taken time out to raise their children. They're coming back a little anxious because it's difficult for them. What do you suggest for those women?
I tell a lot of those women to first focus on what skills they do have. They often feel like they've lost pace with technology or even the workplace in general, and they tend to minimize or diminish the skills that they have. And I tend to say, you know what, recognize you are valuable and you are talented. Don't, let the fact that you haven't been in the workplace for a few years take any of that away. However, if you're feeling the need that you need to bolster some of that, get back in touch with your old network. Find out what people are doing. Are they doing the exact same job that you were doing 5 years ago? Or have things really changed that dramatically? Find out the facts as opposed to just going on feeling. And if you do find that in your industry you need a brand new set of skills, more and more universities as well as corporations are getting involved in getting women back into career tracks and offering classes.
Here's what can be demoralizing. You contact myriad human resources departments, personnel departments, and nobody gets back to you.
First off, I say don't take it personally, especially if you've been submitting it online. The second way I say is, do you know someone in the companies that you're applying for? Or can you meet someone who works there? Because what a lot of folks don't know is that if you work in a company, there's an employee referral bonus program. So if you're going to bring in candidates to HR and they get a job, the employee gets a bonus.
Good grammar, good spelling, essential here.
Absolutely. Use that spell check.
Maggie Mistel, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Denise.
Hi, I'm Katrina Zishfer-Houdini. Today I'm joined by Melissa Brown, the president of It's Just Lunch, and she's going to share some tips on how to make a great impression on a job interview.
Yes.
More important these days than ever.
Yes, certainly. Yes.
So what is one of the first things you should keep in mind on how to make a great impression?
Sure. Well, I think one thing that you have to keep in mind when you're going on a job interview is that first impressions are everything. So when you're preparing, think about what you're going to be wearing. I always recommend that you would be in a business professional outfit. You want to think about your hairstyle. You want it off your face, but you also want to look very presentable. You want to be considerate too to the accessories that you're wearing as well. The other thing to think of is your scents. Most people do not think of that, but
actually, we'll say anything you're wearing on your body, any
yes, perfume or cologne. You don't want to be too overpowering. It could sometimes throw off the interviewer. But I think the most important thing is your smile. So it's extremely important because not only does that show that you're trustworthy, but it also shows that you're very confident.
A lot of people may be confident in other ways, but may not be quite as confident in their smile, and it is so important. So how can someone I don't know, maybe regain confidence in their smile?
Absolutely. If you're not confident with your smile, there's definitely things that you could do. And one of the things I would recommend is consider white strips. Especially if you have time to prepare for the interview. About a week before, you could start using the white strips, and that will help whiten up your teeth. And then also you can do whitening toothpaste right before the
great.
interview. Yes. So that should give you the confidence that you need when you're in your interview.
That little extra kind of glimmer.
Yes, exactly. The pearly whites.
I love, okay, pearly whites are great.
Yes.
So you're confident with your smile, you've got your outfit together,
Yes.
you get to the interview. What else can you do to make a great first impression?
Sure. There's a few things that you want to consider. One is definitely the handshake.
Yes.
Yes, you want
no
to
spaghetti hands.
No spaghetti hands, and
Right.
also not so strong that you're breaking the interviewer's hands. You want it to be firm, just as firm as their grip. The other thing too is eye contact. That shows again that you are trustworthy. It also shows that you are confident. And then 3 is also show those pearly whites. You got to show that smile to them as well.
Fantastic. Now, what about kind of, if a lot of times in interviews people will say, okay, great, do you have any questions for me? And they'll kind of turn the floor over to the interviewee.
Yes.
How do you handle that?
Absolutely. Well, what I would definitely recommend doing is having some questions. You don't want to come in with a laundry list. You don't want to spend too much of the interviewer's time answering your questions, because you should have already done your research for the most part. But have 1 or 2 questions. Make sure they're sincere. Don't just ask questions to ask questions.
Now, I think a lot of people think, okay, I've got a ton of job interviews to go to. I'm just trying to get a job, and maybe they're not as prepared as they should be, or they make a mistake, even maybe about the company name.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Do your research. Know the company name. Know who you're going to meet.
It
Yes.
seems so simple, but
It's very simple,
It's a
yes,
mistake.
but it's something that you definitely should do prior to the interview.
okay, fantastic. I think those are all excellent tips.
Thank
We will
you.
all be employed any minute. Melissa Brown from It's Just Lunch. Thank you very much. To recap, job interviews require you to make a powerful, positive first impression. Do this by smiling and making sure it is a beautiful white smile. Make eye contact throughout the interview. Shake hands and say the name of your
Hi, John Haney for The Job Shopper. Job seekers are inundated with advice and information on how to prepare for and perform in their job interviews. We even put up an entire series on the Job Shopper blog on how to answer the 5 toughest job interview questions. But what job seekers get a lot less help with is how to prepare for the tail end of the interview when the interviewer turns to them and says, "Do you have any questions?" This is a time that can make or break the interview if the job seeker isn't prepared with questions to ask and also avoids these 10 potential landmines that can destroy any chance of you getting the job offer. At the top of the list of the 10 questions never to ask in a job interview is, what does your company do? There is simply no excuse these days for any job seeker to arrive for a job interview not knowing what the company does, what their products and services that are, what industry they're in, and a general understanding of that industry, a quick Google News check to see has the company been in the news lately, to get a sense of who they are, where they stand in their industry, and what they're up to now. If you ask this question, what you're really saying to the interviewer is, I just wasn't interested in making any effort at all. And that's pretty much going to torpedo your chance of getting any offer. Combining questions 2 and 3, which are, do you do background/drug tests? If you ask either one of these questions, you are raising some red flags. The alarms are going to go off in the interviewer's head, suggesting that you have a reason why you don't want a background check done, or a reason why you don't want a drug test done. And either way, it's not good, and that can hinder your chance of them proceeding down the road of offering you a job. Number 4, do you have any other jobs available? Look, when you go in for a job interview, you're interviewing for one position. You know it, the interviewer knows it. During the interview is not the time to switch horses and say, not really interested in this one, do you have anything else? If it's not the right job for you, it's time to gracefully back out and excuse yourself, because this isn't the time or place to go fishing for another job. Number 5, can you guarantee me that I'll still have a job in a year? Look, these are very tough economic times, and a lot of companies are facing difficult economic hurdles. A job offer is not a guarantee of lifelong employment, and no company is really going to be willing to go out on a limb and make any type of guarantees to the longevity of a job. Most companies can't make that kind of guarantee. And by asking this question, what you're really saying is you're more interested in yourself than you are in the company. It's not really suggesting the right attitude going in. So don't ask. Number 6, can you tell me what public transportation is available nearby? Like the first question, what does your company do? This question requires you to do a little investigation before you even show up for the interview. If you require public transportation to get to your job, it's up to you to determine, even before you go interview, is there any public transportation available? You make the calls, you check the web, you determine whether or not the public transportation runs on a timely enough basis and is available for you to get to work on time every day. Number 7, is my wife's, my child's medical condition covered under your insurance? Like, healthcare costs are spiraling out of control, and companies want to keep a lid on them. And although companies are not allowed to ask you any specific medical conditions that you have, it's never a good idea to volunteer any that may have an adverse impact on their healthcare costs or may hinder your ability to show up for work reliably every single day. Keep away from all medical issues during the interview. It's perfectly acceptable once a job is offered to ask to see the Employee Benefits Handbook to read through and determine for yourself what's covered and what's not, but it's not a good idea during the interview to raise the potential that medical issues can somehow conflict or interfere with your job responsibilities. Number 8, how many breaks do I get each day, or can I see the break room? Again, a question like this implies you're a whole lot more concerned in what's in it for you than what's in it for the company to hire you. So keep away from questions that revolve around specific benefits to yourself, whether it's sick leave, vacation time, holidays, break time, personal days. The early job interview is not the place to bring those up. It makes you look selfish, and it does not present you as interested in what's best for the company. Question 9. How many warnings do you give before someone is fired? Again, raising an issue like this, a question like this, simply implies that something went wrong before, and you really want to have a handle on all disciplinary issues before you make a commitment. It does not make the interviewer any more comfortable that hiring you is going to be a good decision. So keep away from any discussion of anything to do with disciplinary process or discipline issues, because they simply make you look like a potential issue. And finally, number 10. How soon can I transfer to another position? Again, this is a type of question that just suggests that you're here for the short term, that this is the first opportunity to jump to something else. You're going to jump to something else. If you're committed to this position, make it clear that you're committed. Most companies won't even consider you for transfer to another position before a year in the position that you're interviewing for. Assume that's the case, and don't raise any flags and make them concerned or believe that you're only in this until you can find something better